Brandy is a passionate yet no-nonsense woman who is going to tell you exactly how she feels and when she feels it.
Fabulous human being overall.
And that's who Brandy is. Brandy is someone who is there willing to help you and guide you through whatever it is you might need.
She helps you to reconsider your preconceived ideas or reconsider new ways to approach a topic. You don't need people in life to agree with you on anything or everything. What you really need is someone to keep it real, and she does that exactly.
When she don't even know, I feel like when I make my first million, I owe her a lot of money.
This season of Brandy Was Here, the podcast is sponsored in part by Blood of a King Clothing, a clothing line focused on bringing out the best within you. Blood of a King Clothing is a motivational clothing line that is helping you find the greatness within. You can shop Blood of a King Clothing at bloodofakingclothing.myshopify.com. TBM Skincare provides the tools that help women love what they see when they look in the mirror. With the full line of plant-based products, we invite women to reclaim their time by adopting a self-care routine that invites luxury into their homes. The company began making small batches of natural skincare in 2015 after founder Brandy Vernado crafted the recipe to cure her adult acne. In doing so, she also found the confidence to pursue her dreams of being a full-time entrepreneur. Since its inception, TBM Skin has made luxury skincare accessible to everyday people and is committed to helping communities rebuild their sense of pride and their unique identity. You can shop TBM Skincare at www.tbmskin.com. Hey y'all, so welcome to another episode, a new season 4 of Brandy Was Here, the podcast. If you have been following me for a while, following this podcast, you might be wondering, Brandy, where the hell have you been? And the short answer to that is to hell and back, y'all. It has been rough, to say the least, over the past year and a half. But I'm still here, and I'm going to tell you all about what I've been through. I have been on a spiritual journey, y'all, which is why this season is different from every other season that I have created, because season 4 is specified, okay? All the other seasons have been about giving you wisdom along your journey. This season is about helping you along your spiritual journey specifically. And if you've been following me on Instagram, please do. Then you know that I have been asking you a lot of questions over the past few months, trying to get a better understanding of where you are on your spiritual journey and sharing where I have been on mine. I wanted to bring together some of the people who have helped me over the last year and a half and people that have been helping you all guide you, direct you, share their stories, pour into you, and help you really be your highest and your best self. Right? To meet your spiritual self, to meet your better half, so to speak, of your internal workings. So this season on the podcast is going to be all about that. And when I tell you I have some amazing guests, I don't know, y'all. I just keep getting better. This podcast just keeps getting better, and y'all are in for a treat. So again, if you haven't followed me, or if not, another thing that's different about season 4 is you can see me now. Right? We have added YouTube as one of our platforms so you can see the podcast in video. Y'all have been asking me that since I dropped my very first episode. So here you go. You can see me. Prepare to be sick of me. So on today's episode of the podcast, our guest is Mecca Glover. Now, Mecca, with her beautiful self, is just 29 years old, and she is a psychic and empath. If you don't know what that is, she is going to explain it in this episode. But when I asked on my social media, who should I interview who, can help guide people spiritually, a lot of you wanted an astrologer, you wanted a psychic. And Mecca is someone that I have been following for a long time. On Instagram, she is Mecca Dreams. Now, I want you to look in the show notes, look in the comments, because there are a lot of fake pages, and I want you to be following the real her. I stumbled across her. I'm very much into astrology. I'm an Aries, by the way, and her horoscopes are like so on point that I was like, okay, most of the time I just if I'm into looking at my horoscope, I just kind of Google search it, but I actually follow her and I read hers daily. Okay. Now, she was very reluctant to be on this path. And I think that's very important for you all to know, because you might be out there still trying to figure out your purpose. You might have think you found your purpose and are struggling to embrace it or accept it. And she talks about that, right? Now, we are not here on this episode to change your religion, or, if you are religious, I want you to listen to this episode because she is too. And for a lot of people, that doesn't make sense, right? How can you be a Christian and follow astrology? Like, we talk about what that is and what that means, and how she has reconciled that in her own personal life. Okay. So, this episode, if you are a skeptic, if you are a full on, student, worshiper, learner of astrology, you're going to find out how to figure out what is in the cards for your life, discover your purpose, and truly embrace your authentic self. So I'm excited to get into this episode. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited to interview my guest today. This is somebody that was requested by you all, my audience. So I know that this is going to be an episode that you all are tuning into. You wanted to speak to her, and she is here, you guys. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are and what it is that you do.
Hey everyone, my name is Mecca, also known as Mecca Dreams. I am a empath, psychic, spiritual healer. I'm intuitive. I do tarot card readings on Instagram. I post different messages that I get from up above, from the divine. And I am here to help heal and bring people closer to God, closer to the light, closer to their soul purpose, their calling.
Yes. So for the people, thank you. For the people who don't know you or don't follow you, I'm going to put all her information in the show notes, because let me tell you, I'm going to say, we're going to get to the interview, but let me just say this, like, your readings are spot on. I'm an Aries. Okay. And I look forward to your post every day. There was I think a week or so where you didn't post, and I was like, where is she? I need to see it. I need to read it. They are spot on. So y'all are going to find out. So first, I want to get into some quick fire questions. This is just to keep you on your toes and get rid of some of the nervousness, but also to help the audience get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready? Okay, good. Okay. There's only 7 questions, so whatever comes to mind first. The first one is, what is the best thing going on in your life right now?
My career, my connection with God, my career.
Yes. Name a song that uplifts your spirit.
God's Child. Right.
Okay. What is your definition of faith?
Walking in your purpose and believing that God is going to catch you every step of the way, walking with you every step of the way, closing your eyes and walking forward and knowing that you're going in the right path because God is with you.
What is the one thing you lean on when life gets hard?
God, my connection with up above, my faith, my spirituality.
Finish the sentence. One thing I believe I do well is
love.
Name a book that has helped you on your journey.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm thinking of it's gonna probably be an old one. Kill a Mockingbird that I read in high school. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. If there was one thing you want to make absolutely sure that you do during this lifetime, what would it be?
Make my mother and God proud of me.
I love that answer. That was it. That was easy, right?
That was easy.
That was easy. You came prepared. You had some answers going. I love it. So this season of the podcast is all about spirituality. It's all about faith. It's all about purpose. It's all about the divine. Tell us how did you get into this work? Was there something that happened in your life? Did you always know this was what you wanted to do?
Okay. So as a child, I found out that I was spiritually gifted through my dreams. I had prophetic dreams as a child. I used to tell my mother all the time, and she used to try to break it down to me. But no, I did not know that this was my path. I was working a regular 9 to 5, and my life turned into turmoil. When I hit the ages of between 20 to 25 years old, I went through major changes with my career and with family, and I tried to find like what I was here to do. And it was different relationships that kind of turned me into saying, okay, maybe I should start reflecting back onto me instead of focusing more so on love. Maybe I should give that love to me. So with doing so, I found what I was supposed to be doing. I ended up connecting back to God, praying more. And I had a prophetic dream while I was in a very toxic relationship. And it made me say, okay, maybe something I'm supposed to be doing is connected with up above. Because at that time, I was working a 9 to 5 that I hated, struggling for money, not in my purpose at all. And I think I was the farthest away from God. I didn't even really know that I was so far away from him. So within this dream, it kind of just, it woke me up. It woke me up to saying, okay, it's time. And then I was gifted my first tarot card deck, which I knew nothing about. And at first I said, something ain't right with it. I don't want it. And I let it sit on my desk for 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, I started getting like feelings like I should start picking it up. I should start looking at it. And I did. And that's what led me to continue to learn it into where I am now.
Wow. Wow, there's so many things I want to touch on in what you just said. Now, for people who have been listening to this podcast for a while, a lot of things she said sounds very similar to my story, right? They know that I had a job that I don't want to say that I hated it. I was good at it, but it just wasn't for me, right? Like I was doing good, and because I was doing good and I was like getting recognition at work, I thought I should keep doing it. But every day I would go home like, this is just not it. Like what am I supposed to be doing? So they might like, I think a lot of people listening are in that position or have been in that position, trying to figure out like, where do I go from here? I'm going to come back to that idea, but I want to go back to you being a child. You were having dreams and you said your mom was helping you interpret them. When you came to your mom with these dreams, what was she saying to you? Like, what was she doing?
So this is the first thing. My first prophetic dream, I had to have been, I want to say I was 8 years old. It was either 7 years old or 8 years old. And it was in color. So that's one thing I learned about myself. I don't dream in color ever. I only dream in like black and white, or I don't even remember my dreams. So when my first dream in color, it was prophetic. It basically was a premonition of my family of something that wasn't taking place at that time, but 2 years later it took place. But at that time, my mother said, okay, well, break it down to me. What did you see? What were the colors? Did you see any numbers? You know, at that time, she was like, okay, Mecca, any numbers, let's hit. Let's try to play the number. But she would say, remember any type of numbers you see. Remember any type of words that you see. Or who did you see? Did you speak anything? Did anybody speak to you? You know, so she kind of broke it down to me, things that I should be looking for if I ever had that dream, or if I ever had a dream in color again, which I did. But I was scared. I thought everybody was like me, you know, didn't dream in color or didn't have vivid dreams. And when they did, it meant something. I thought everybody was like that. And I learned that's not the case. So,
That's amazing that your mom really supported you. Like, she didn't say that you were crazy. She didn't tell you, stop that, stop having those dreams. She's like trying to help you and guide you through it. Many people don't have someone in their life that does that for them. Is your mom still as supportive and guiding you now, or are there other people that you would consider like mentors or people that you look up to that are supporting you?
Over my journey, it was different times when my mother kind of said, okay, well, this is something great, but is this something that you should be doing? You know, is this your purpose? You know, she kind of wanted me to have a safety net. It was more so with, I don't know if it was the generation or if it's, just modern times now where more people are able to have businesses and they're able to really go towards their passions. But she kind of wanted me to have a business or just go towards a career that was recession proof. So it was like a kind of pull and tug, as I got older with not really knowing my purpose. And then when out of nowhere, it's like, okay, I want to study tarot. So it kind of was a shock to her when I said I want to do this for a living. But she still, it was always support. Now, I wouldn't say I got full support from family. So I more so would say I got more support from outsiders, from strangers, from people that didn't know me. You know, my mother, she definitely spiritually gifted like myself. So that was cool to find out as I got older, but I wasn't so welcomed with everyone else in the family. So I kind of speak on that and teach on that now with my readings, that you may be ostracized, but that doesn't mean don't continue on your path. That doesn't mean don't continue on towards your purpose. And that doesn't mean don't continue on towards finding, you know, your own connection with God. That's just the fight of spiritual warfare. That's what comes with it. But we're all God's children. We're all God's child, and we're all warriors for God. So that's what I ended up learning on this path. And that's what I teach others. Just because you don't have support from people close to you, God is always going to send you some type of support to let you know you're on the right path. So that's what helped me. That's what helps me.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of us, you know, we're born into families, and our family, you know, they might have a certain way of thinking or a certain way of doing, but our gifts might be totally and completely different from that. And we don't really know where to look to for support. We don't know if we should, you know, try to fit in, or if it's okay to stand out. For someone who might be in that position, what would you say to them, or how should they go about really affirming their spiritual gifts or their passions?
I would say, you know, if it's you know if it's something that you should continue to fight for, if you start seeing changes, positive changes taking place in your life. And honestly, it starts with you. As above, so below. As you work on yourself, spiritually building your connection, getting your mind, body, and soul right, making yourself healthy first, that actually puts out positive energy and makes you the best person to help others, whatever you're doing on your path. So it's kind of up to you. I would say it's a choice. You know, God is all about free will. God isn't going to force you to follow your path, but He definitely will help you, guide you towards making that decision. So, or choosing that path. But I would say it's a choice. You know, with me, it kind of was like, I felt like this was the right thing I needed to do, because I felt there was more for me in my life. You know, at that time, I said, there has to be more to life than just what I'm going through now, you know, paycheck to paycheck, and like not really, just feeling lost, feeling like I could be doing more, you know, just feeling like I'm not living up to the best of my ability. If you feel that way, I definitely would say, look at your mindset, look at, you know, what you're pouring your energy into, look at your lifestyle, you know, look at your friends, the people around you, what motivates you, what inspires you, you know, and then how do you feel about yourself? And then you can make that choice. That's what I would say, because that's how I did it. I had to look at me first before anyone else. So
Yeah. Yes, self accountability. You have to figure out what's going on in your life and how you might be. I always tell people, we had an episode, season 3, we talked about manifestation. And I always tell people that you are always manifesting. Manifestation is always happening. Sometimes you manifest your negative thoughts because that's all you're thinking about, right? You're thinking, oh, I don't want this to happen. I don't want this. I hate this. You know, all those negative thoughts you're putting out, you're manifesting. What we get excited about are the positive manifestations. When we really want something, there's something that we really desire and we get it. We say, oh my gosh, I manifested that, right? But you're always manifesting your life. So you really have to check your thoughts and really, you know, check where you are spiritually and how you feel about yourself, because that's going to either track or repel the things that you say you want, but you're not really, your energy's not there.
definitely.
Yeah. Now, you said you were gifted your first set of tarot cards. Who gave it to you, and how did you figure out the power of them?
I was at a very, very low place of my life. At that time, I was homeless. I was renting out a little room for rent in Atlanta. And I was living in this, like, I would say, like a boarding house. Everyone in this house was paying rent for their room. And there was a woman that I met. Her name was Kat. I don't know her full name. I think her full name was Catherine, but we became cool in this house. She was in Florida, and we were talking about how our lives just went down a spiral, and we're trying to get back. And she said that she was into spirituality, and I said, at that time, I said, I'm Christian. I went to private school. I was in the church. I said, I don't know about that. She said it was helping her. She said it helped guide her. So at that time in my life, I was on YouTube and I was looking at like T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen. I was looking at spiritual videos to uplift me, but I did not look at anything else. I was only looking at, preachers, pastors, prophets that I felt could guide me at that time. And I saw her one day and she had said, Mecca, something is telling me to give this to you. She said, it's brand new. She said, I took it out. She said, I can't connect with it. And it was brand new. And I said, I said, what's telling you? She said, something is telling me to just give it to you. It will help you. And I said, okay. And I said, thank you. And I took it and I put it on my desk in my room, but I didn't touch it. And we were talking and I said, what made you? She said, I got called to buy a deck. And then she said, my grandmother gifted me a deck. So she was like, I've always been around it in my family. I said, I wasn't. This is my first one, and I thank you. But it made me, I was scared. I was very nervous. And I ended up, after 2 weeks, picking up the deck, saging the deck, using, I used sage first, of course. I looked at the book very briefly, and then I started looking at the cards. And I started like feeling energy on each card, and it felt very weird compared to just a regular, you picking up a playing card deck. And something said, this is what you're supposed to be learning right now. Instead of just going to work every day, just having your regular schedule, this is what you're supposed to be studying. So I began to study it every day after work. At that time, I was working at Best Western. I was a receptionist. I would come home and I would look at the cards and they would talk to me. I know it's weird, but I felt them speaking to me. I felt like each card had something to say. And I felt like, I don't know if everyone else had a tarot deck, I felt like this was happening to them too. I said, is this what's supposed to happen? But it was so unique, the experience. And I didn't feel scared. It wasn't like a fear of like I'm doing something wrong. It was a fear. It was like a energy of I'm doing something that I'm supposed to do. So I continued. So that's how I got my first.
Wow, that is really powerful. That is really powerful. I love that story and I love that experience. I've had several experiences in my life where not people that I know, just people like randomly come into my life and they will give me a message that I needed to hear. I have been going through something, and I remember this time I was in college and I was like contemplating leaving school because there was like so much going on with my family at home, and I was just really struggling in school. And I was late to class and walking, and this woman I had never seen before just came up to me and said, like, you need to go home. I was like, okay, hi, how are you? Like, what's that about? And it had just been on my mind, and she just said it, and she's like, you don't want to be here. Like, this is not for you. You wanted to try it, you tried it, now go home. And I was just like, okay. And I just went up, and it was like once she said that, like a weight had been lifted off me and my decision was made clear. And so I've had several moments in my life where those things have happened, where things just, it just feels like it's supposed to happen. It's weird, it's out of the ordinary, it doesn't make sense to anyone, but here it is, and it's just what you needed. So I'm happy that you told that story. I can connect with things like that. One of the things that you said, you talked about your faith, right? You being Christian, and then like this person is talking to you about tarot cards. How have you reconciled the two things? Because I hear from a lot of people like if I'm talking about, I was having a conversation the other day and we were talking about, oh, it's Aries season. And person's like, oh yeah, I don't believe in that, right? Like I go to church, I don't believe in, signs or things like that. So how do you put the two together? Or how do the things work together as far as spirituality is concerned?
Okay, so for me, I think before I knew what astrology was, I was always into it. I'm from New York City. I used to read the train going to work, and they used to have on the like free papers on the train, the little astrology
The little
horoscope.
horoscopes.
I used
Yeah.
to read them every day. And it would, it just was a little thing. I would love it though. So even before my mother, we would go to church every Sunday. I had school and church. I mean, yeah, I had church and school. I'm sorry. I would always connect with the church, but I didn't really understand. I didn't really differentiate the two. And I didn't really study astrology at that time. But when I was gifted my first deck, it made me open my eyes. And as I continued to learn about what tarot was and what spirituality is, it made me say, this is kind of like a tool. This is kind of like a blueprint. This helps a lot. And it was more so like I would read my Bible in the morning. I always prayed. I still would read my Bible, but I also would get messages from these cards. And when I listened, it would help. Now, what I did was I connected the two by praying. How I connect to my angels. That's before I say before I do any reading, I'm praying. So I always kept my Christian faith when I kept going into my spirituality. But what I learned was spirituality is like the ocean and Christianity is like a box, So it made me really awaken. I was in church, but I wasn't speaking to angels, So I was going to church, but I didn't. Now in spirituality, I'm like, I talk to archangels. I know the archangels. So it made me say, was I as close to God as I thought, when I claimed to be a Christian, but I can't name his army, his archangels, or any of his angels, or I know Psalms or I know biblical verses, but am I living the life truly like how I am now? I had to really reflect. So, that made me say, okay, it's really no different. It's mostly about your mindset. You can connect the two. I go to church on Sundays, and then on the weekdays, I pick up my tarot cards. I have my Bible in my room, and then I have my tarot deck in my room. But I feel like it's more so of if you're open to it. I feel like it's more so a mindset, because definitely spirituality is something you have to be open-minded to. And it comes with a lot. So I feel like most people don't want to differentiate the two because of fear or because of lack of knowledge or ignorance. So that's personal, But with me, I definitely never forgot it. I never forgot my roots. I just expanded my knowledge and my consciousness and my awareness, which also expanded my connection with God, and the other side, the heavenly realm. So that's
That's good. That was a great answer. I like that. I think a lot of people, I think it is, fear and just lack of knowledge. People don't really know or understand. Most people that say like, they're not into that or they feel like it's opposing God haven't really looked into it or understand what it is. I think the other thing that you said that really stuck out to me is about that relationship. I grew up in the church too, and I felt like when I went to church, I had probably a closer relationship with the people I went to church with than I had with God. Like I would pray, I would come to the activities, but it was really about me building with those people. And I didn't recognize that until I went to college when I left that church, because when I left the church, I no longer had those relationships. And then I was trying to figure out, okay, what now? Right. So spirituality really just allowed me to have that close and direct connection with God, whereas I feel like church didn't really teach me that or how to find it. I had to explore and figure that out on my own.
I definitely understand that. I can definitely connect with that. And it's been hard. What I'm going to say is the church hasn't been the most open to me. That's what I'll say. I've been open to the church, but I'll say the church hasn't been the most welcoming to what I do, to me, to my beliefs. And that's okay. That's fine. It's all about understanding. So, but I definitely feel like I know how to pray now. And before they were kind of teaching me how to pray in school or how to talk to God. And it was them trying to make me build a connection or teaching me how to build. While now it's more so free will of me building my own connection. I talk to God like he's my best friend, like he's my father, like, you know, he's my provider because he is. So it's like I go to God for everything, while before it was, I, I thought I did. I thought I was doing so. I thought I was building that connection. But like you said, it was more so just connections with the people inside of the church, God's children, but not so him.
Yeah, yeah. How do you help people get over fear? Because I know part of what you do outside of just reading cards is like you help people on their spiritual journey. So, how do you help guide people who are fearful of diving deep into spirituality and taking that leap of openness and surrender?
Really, it's a choice. But it's a choice, because fear, you know, identifying it, what is it, a false experience appearing real. So definitely what I tell people with fear is God is going to test you with that fear. Whatever your fear is, make sure you identify it, because when you're going towards God and your purpose, light is going to be shed upon it. Whatever fear it is, whatever your scariest fear is, remember God knows it. So it's going to be light shed upon that on your path. So I say it's a choice. To everyone I talk to all of my followers, to anyone, fear is a mindset and you can overcome it, especially in regards to your own life. Learning you. You have to know what you can and cannot do, what you will and will not do, what you will and will not stand for. You know, so it's all baby steps. You know, going into spirituality, we're not just going to dump you into the water. It's all about taking your time with learning it and going on your own path, going on your own progression, going on your own time. So it's, some are called, some are chosen, and some just went. So we say it's a choice. It's a choice. If you're just going because you're the cloud chasing, or you're not going to find your purpose. You're not going to find what you truly want on that. You know, it's definitely a choice, and God recognizes your heart. So your heart has to be involved. Love has to be involved. Your mindset has to be involved. That follows suit. So that's what I tell. That's what I tell people I teach to and I connect to.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of choices, so you're learning about tarot, you're diving into this spiritual journey. At what point did you start helping other people, and when did you bring what you do to social media?
Okay. I didn't start helping other people, to be honest with you. I want to say after about 3 months of me doing it by myself, 2 months of me like learning, just doing it on me, like literally just doing readings on myself. And I had people in the house that I was staying at that would say, well, what are you doing? Do you mind pulling a card on me? And I said, okay. So I tried. I ended up doing it on someone in the house, and it started me because what I said actually was happening. And that's when I said, after that, it kind of let something go off, because the only person I was doing it on was myself. But I knew whatever I was saying, I said, something is guiding me, something heavenly, something around me is pulling these cards out and it's telling me do this, and I'm doing it, and I'm seeing changes, positive changes. So once people around me started seeing changes in my life, like with my career, my money, things started changing. They started seeing. It wasn't really me speaking. It was mostly so that they were seeing it taking place. That's when they started saying, well, can you pull a card on me, or can you do a reading? And I did for free. No payment. It was just free readings. And they said, Mecca, what you're saying is facts. Like, what you're saying is actually taking place. And I didn't really do tarot when I first got to social media. I started posting on, I believe it was Facebook first. I just started posting like spiritual, like messages I got, downloads. And there was like, I would get like 1 or 2 likes, 3, 4 likes, something like that. And it wasn't really touching anyone, but I didn't mind. I didn't know at that time. I just continued to do it. And it wasn't until about June when something came over me and said, the way you're going to connect with the world is through horoscopes. You have to identify this. It's kind of like it was already set up, so you're going to have to kind of jump in where people know. I know you want to put out spiritual messages guiding people, but the world needs to hear it this way. So I started doing horoscopes. My first post was, I believe, June 7th of 2021. So that post only got like what, 8 likes, 9 likes. And from there, I didn't care. I continued to do it and it grew. It just grew. It's like God took me up and just continued and he didn't stop. That's what it felt like. It felt like the minute I started going to Instagram was really the platform that did it. But the minute I started just posting about horoscopes, identifying and using my cards, it went off. It went off. God took it.
Yeah. I mean, you're well over 100,000 followers. I see, I follow you, but so many people repost your messages, which is why, I asked on my social media, I said, hey, I want to interview an astrologer. And I got so many people that said, find Mecca. We don't, and you know what's funny too? Like, probably recently you've been posting yourself a lot more.
Yes.
But people were saying I should figure out who is behind this page. Who is this person? I like this person. Figure out who this is and like speak to her, like interview her. Because you post, I mean, you do all the signs. Some people do some signs. You are very consistent, like every day. Like I said, you left for a week and I was like, I need to know what's going on with my life. I need my message. So it has become very popular. Now, how is doing like those collective readings different from doing like a one-on-one individual reading? Are the downloads different? Are you receiving the messages in a different way? Like, how does that work?
So to be honest, I could do the collectives two different ways. I can do it just like earth signs, water signs, fire signs, air signs, or I can do it separate: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It's so much easier to pull on the collective when it's the element. I'm just being honest. I feel like it is less energy I'm pulling on. I'm not really pulling on the individual sign. I'm more so just pulling on that element. So it's so much less draining for myself. However, the world does not really like those messages. So I'm more so, I'm in service for the world. I work for God. So if I'm seeing more so people are saying, well, Mecca, I want it to be separate. It helps me better. I'm going to do it that way. No matter if I'm tired, I'm still going to do it that way. But it definitely is easier doing the full element, but I do it separate. Personals are the heaviest for me because I don't do in person as of yet, but all of my readings are either like on FaceTime, through Instagram, or they're pre-recording audios, or I'm recording myself and emailing it off to you. But those are definitely the heaviest for me because I'm pulling on your individual energy. And I'm picking up on past, present, and things that you don't even know are coming to you. So that is definitely the heaviest, I would say. It drains a lot of energy. It also is a lot of cleansing that I have to do of myself to keep my own energy clear. So I would say that's probably the hardest, doing the personals, which is why I haven't really done the in-persons yet, but they're coming. But those are the heaviest. Learning how to balance out the energy, learning how to detach from that person's energy, and learning how to clean myself off. Because not everybody's energy is clean. That's what I'll say. Not everybody is going behind closed doors and talking to God. Not everybody is living a very, not everybody's on their divine path that get readings with me. And that's something I signed up for, but it's definitely heavy to do, which is, I guess, why, it's selected. Not everybody can do it, and I understand it, but it's hard. I'm not going to say it's an easy task. It's so difficult, and you feel tired. It kind of feels like your energy, you'll be up in the morning, and then once I pull these horoscopes, I feel like sleeping for the next 2 days, which isn't possible because I have readings, more horoscopes. But it's draining. It's so tiresome. It is.
So how do you refill or replenish yourself after you do all of this spiritual work for other people?
A few things. Number one, Florida water is my best friend. Okay. Florida water is my best friend. I take a lot of spiritual baths. I sage. I know with me, for what I do for work, I have to sage. I sage daily. Okay, I sage every morning. I sage at night, but every morning I'm saging my house, and my home, making sure that it's positive energy coming through my house completely. But saging a lot is definitely important, and I sage myself. Not only just saging myself, but also saging my home. I have crystals, keeping positive affirmations around my home, like on my fridge, in my phone. I have alerts that go off that tell me when to say certain things. Like, it just what it is. Like, it just keeps me whole, and I do what I do. And I tell everybody, whatever other people do it. Whatever works for you, do it. But with me, definitely getting my alert for my affirmations. God is love, protect me, whatever my little affirmations are, I say it. And keeping positive music on, what I watch, what I consume, what I eat. Okay, all of that is so important. It really does affect your energy. People say, oh, no, it doesn't. It does. It's cool to eat. Like, you can go out and eat fast food, but are you kind of trying to offset it? Like, okay, I had Wendy's for lunch, but did you make a home cooked meal today? Like, did you actually cook with your own hands, put your own energy into what you're consuming? That is so important. Okay, it's like, instead of consuming everyone else's, it's like, focus on your own energy, focusing on my own. So definitely watching what I eat, definitely watching the music I'm listening to every day, the TV that I'm watching. Okay, just things like that. And watching the areas, the environments. It's kind of like a lifestyle. It's really a lifestyle thing. When I say, when you're going towards your purpose, or you go towards God, understand everything in your life is going to change. But important in your energy too, what you do to keep your energy clean and clear. So
Yeah. Will those things inhibit or prevent us from having a closer relationship with God or a deeper spiritual path if we're not like taking care of our body, if we're not mindful of like what we're consuming?
I think so. And I don't want to say that, but I do. I do. When I was around certain people, when I was just living a certain type of lifestyle, I felt like I was close to God, but really I was on the opposite. So it was like, I didn't realize that till I really started walking in the light. And then my third eye started opening. I started seeing things I didn't notice before. I didn't see before. It felt like it was cool to do it because everyone else is doing it. That don't mean it's cool to do it. And that don't mean God approves it. So it's like you don't know until you really start reflecting on how you feel, and then seeing your life for what it is. So that's, yeah, with me, it was definitely starting on that. And that's what kept me kind of motivated to just continue to do it. It keeps me, because I feel better while I do it, it just keeps me motivated to do it. If I didn't find any good in it, I would have stopped. But I found nothing but good in it. So it's like, why stop? I don't ever want to stop. I just ever want to try to lose my connection with God. I don't ever want to lose that. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I think it matters too. I tell people all the time, in order to get in alignment, sometimes you have to move, right? Like, we always want, like, we want the blessings to come to us where we are now, but sometimes you can't be blessed where you are now with the people you are with, because they will ruin it for you. And that is something that I had to learn the hard way, because, going back to astrology, I'm an Aries. I am so loyal. Like, I want to keep the people around me, right? Thank you. It was last Sunday. I want to keep the people around me that I've been with, but I realized, like, they're not on the same path as me. And it hurts to say, like, okay, I'm going to have to kind of remove myself from that because I want to be doing this and you still want to be doing that. And that's not helping me, right? But you got to move. You got to move. It's just something that you have to deal with. It's either going to hurt now or it's going to hurt later. And so you just got to figure out, when you're ready to hurt and move on. I asked people on social media if they had questions for you. So there are 3 that I pulled. I got a lot. And so if you're listening, you submitted a question, I'm so sorry. You're just going to have to try to book a reading with her yourself. But I'm hoping you can answer these questions. These questions seem kind of more general and not so specific. So hoping it'll help a lot of people. This person says their question is, and they provided some context. It says, I like reading my horoscopes and I have got several readings in the past, but I'm always confused about what to do when I get a message that I either don't like or that seems ominous. What am I supposed to do with that information, or how can I be better about making changes in my life when my horoscope says that something bad is going to happen?
Okay. I don't want people to run when they feel like the horoscope is bad, or not every message every day. Number one, not every message is going to resonate every day. That's what I need people to understand. That's why there's always a disclaimer. Take what resonates, leave the rest. Not every day I'm going to be connecting to you. I hope I do every day. I hope that I can post every day and I connect, but not every day that whole message is for you. It may just be a sentence that's for you. So that's number one. Then number two, I don't want people to reflect on whether the message is good or bad, and more so how it makes you feel. More so if it's guiding you or helping with any type of insight in any way. I more so don't want people to look at, okay, something bad's gonna happen. Oh my God, what does she mean by that? No. What I mean by is God is redirecting things and bringing things into alignment. And sometimes towers have to take place. Okay, that's just that's just what happens. If I don't want to lie and put good messages out and then get bad karma because I'm telling the collective what they want to hear instead of what they need to hear. So that's what I would tell followers. That's what I would tell readers, that read my horoscopes. Read those messages and reflect on it. If you get a message that day that you don't really like, reflect on the message. Journal about it, or see how it makes you feel. What about it upsets you? Is it the truth that upsets you? Is it removing a blindfold off that you don't want to see? If it honestly doesn't sit with you, or if it honestly doesn't resonate with you, then guess what? It's just not for you. But if it's affecting you in some way, shape, or form, that's where you have to self-reflect at and figure out why. Why is this message bothering you? What is it stimulating? What is it triggering? That's healing work. That's also called shadow work. So I would tell people that want to run from fear, it's time to do some shadow work. It's time to look at things that trigger you and run towards that. That's what I would say.
Run towards the things that trigger you. Oh, I love that. That is how you start your spiritual journey. For anyone who is wondering, you have to run towards the things that trigger you and figure out why and be uncomfortable and work through it.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay, this next question says, I have always been interested in tarot, but I am somewhat afraid of letting someone read me. Is this something that I could do on my own?
Yes, you could, of course, buy your own deck. That's what I tell everybody. If you don't want anyone to tap into your own energy, that is totally and completely okay, because I'm like that. I have not booked a reading with nobody. I haven't. I would rather read my own cards. Since I've been doing tarot, nobody has tapped into my energy. I just don't trust it. That's just me, my own personal preference. But of course, I read for others, but that's just me. I would say buy your own deck. Literally buy your own deck, study your own deck, and before you buy it, basically put intentions out there about why you're getting this deck and who you want to give you messages, because everybody is joining this, the spiritual bandwagon, but they don't know who's giving them messages, and not everybody's getting messages from the divine. I just have to make that clear as well. There definitely, as there's good spirits, there's bad spirits. If you believe in God, you know what you have to believe in dark as well. So be mindful of your intentions when you get the deck, and also make sure you're praying over it, on it, with it. Make sure that you're using it for your highest good. That's what I would say.
That is so true. We often talk about this spiritual journey, but not everyone is on the same spiritual journey. The Bible says everything is spiritual, right? But every spirit is not a good spirit. That is important to know.
Not every spirit.
Very important to know. Yes, one of the prayers that I always pray, that I had someone when I was younger tell me, always pray for discernment, like to know the difference between things. Like everything that looks good and sounds good is not. Everybody that comes into your life does not have good intentions, even if they say they do. So just constantly pray to know the difference, to really just protect yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This next question says, is there a message that you have for the collective that you have been holding back that you want everyone to know or that you would like to share with everyone?
Is there a message that I've been holding back? The only things that I've been holding back really have been, for one, I am in the process of creating a YouTube. So I definitely want to do that. I haven't told the collective, I haven't told anyone yet, really, because I don't know exactly when I'm going to start. I'm kind of waiting to get signs from the divine on when's the right time, day, all of that. But it's definitely coming along. And don't be scared to walk in your purpose. Don't be scared to shine your light. That's one thing I should start saying to everyone, because it started with me. I used to dim my light. So one message I would say to the collective is, don't dim your light to please others. Don't people please. Being an empath, I people please. I used to people please all the time. I used to be a doormat and not understand what's going on and why I feel away, why I feel depleted. Don't people please. The last message I did want to say is, I have been going through major family issues. Something major took place with my family last year around my birthday. And it took me out, and I'm still healing. And I haven't opened up fully to the collective yet about exactly what happened, because I'm just not ready yet, but I will. But I am still healing. I went through something, I want to say traumatic, something that most people probably would have lost their faith in, because I almost did. Almost just left, not been here no more. So I just want to say thank you to my collective for staying with me and for keeping me strong, for keeping me whole. Because as everyone, I'm a regular person. I go through regular things. So yeah, my family, being on my spiritual path, and I consider myself to be chosen. I have a very warped family. My family life is it. So just being real. So I and being, kind of like in the public eye, I kind of don't want everybody to know everything. Some things just have to, you have to keep to yourself. So I did let the collective know I'm going through something traumatic, but I didn't exactly give details. But I want them to know, thank you. Thank you for not abandoning me and leaving me. I was away for like a month, I believe. So I was finally called to come back to work, and I felt needed. So I came back. And I want to say thank you. And I love y'all so much, because I cannot do it without, I cannot do any of this without y'all. None of it. None of it. So thank you for the love and the support and the guidance and the wisdom that y'all teach me. Because believe it or not, I learn each day through the readings, through connecting through y'all, to y'all, reading the comments, everything. So I learn each day. Yes, I'm a teacher, but I'm still a student. So that is my final message that I would say.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable with us. It is hard when you're going through and you feel like you have like this commitment to folks, but you also need to be committed to yourself and your own journey and what you're going through. So thank you for being here and pushing through and sharing that with us. My last question, well, technically almost last question, is what is next for you? You are doing so much, you've accomplished so much, you are walking in your purpose, you're helping people find their purpose. What is next for you? What more do you want to do?
Oh, it's so much. It's so much. For one, I do want to continue to do tarot horoscopes. I don't think I'm ever gonna stop. I think I'll do it to the day I die. That's gonna be forever thing. My spirituality, tarot, that's forever. I do want to expand on YouTube. Like I said, I want to get my own channel. I am in the process of creating my own tarot deck. So I want to, yes, I'm making a few exclusive decks that I'm going to be using, on lives on Instagram, on my YouTube, and also selling, on my marketplace. I think on Instagram, on my shop. So I do want to do that. That's in the works. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do like a mini movie, a mini biography, something in regards to my life. Biop. I don't know yet. But I do want to be more open with my followers. I do want to be more open with letting them know who I am, because number one, I have a lot of fake scam pages. So I want people to know exactly who I am, and I want people to know that I am just like you. There go I. So when you see me, I want people to see a reflection of themselves. So I want to be more open with that. I want to be showing more people more of my life, more about myself. And I want to start building things and creating things that have meaning, have purpose, and that could actually help. Like planners, like affirmation books. These are things I am in the process of working on for my collective. Actually just helping with them finding their purpose the right way, not just the right way. Building from self-esteem first, self-worth first. So those are things I'm working on. And anything else that God wants me to go towards, I'm open towards. So I've been like having people say little things, anything, not anything, but it has to be of God. But, new opportunities that God gives me, I'm completely open to. I am.
I thank you for sharing that. I'm glad I asked you that question. I want to point out for the people who are tuned in right now, did you notice her energy when she started speaking about the things that she wanted to do? Did you notice your energy and how you perked up and you got really excited? Like your whole face just lit up as you were talking about that, right? So for people who are confused about how you're supposed to manifest, how you're supposed to put things into the universe, is with that energy, right? When you talk about where you want to be and the things that you're working on and working towards, you have to talk about it like you're really excited for it to happen. Like you really want it to happen. Like this is so important to you that it just consumes your entire body, right? Your whole body is working towards making this happen, right? So everything you just said, I know that it's going to happen because of just how you said it. It's already happening. Right, it got me excited. I'm like, oh yes, I want a deck, I want a book, I want to, I want to watch the movie. Like, let's do it. Right, you're speaking it as if it is, it's inevitable. I was listening to you talked about listening to like TD Jakes and things like that. Randomly, like I just started YouTubing Steve Harvey motivational things. It popped like I was watching something else and it popped up, and it just so happens. And he has this quote. It's by Albert Einstein, but he says, "Your imagination is the preview to life's coming attractions." Right? And I was like, that's so interesting. So that's like the Einstein quote. And then Steve Harvey says, he asked the question, he said, have you ever seen a preview to a movie and the movie never came out? Like when we watch the trailers and we watch the previews, it's inevitable that the movie comes next. So he says, no matter what, continue to dream, continue to activate your imagination, because whatever you see in your mind, that preview is going to turn into the movie, right? It's going to happen. So I want to point that out for people because, like I said, people listening to this are kind of all over the place in terms of where they're at in their spiritual journey. But I think that part is important. Energy and attitude matters when we're trying to make things happen for ourselves. So thank you.
Thank
you. Yes. So, okay, you guys, I am going to let her go. She told us everything that she's working on, all her contact information, where you can find her on social media, how you can book with her, the link to her website, all that stuff is going to be in the show notes. So I want to say thank you again for being on the podcast and sharing your story with us and putting a face to your wonderful page.
Thank you so much for having me, Brandy. This was my first ever interview. So thank you.
Really?
Yes, ever.
Oh my gosh, you're such a natural. Like you do interviews all the time.
Oh, thank you. Such a blessing. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. Let me,